So, gentlemen, seeing how we usually prefer to cover wider, more universal, if you will, topics here on the CCS Video Podcast, how come we're dedicating an entire episode to a single fictional character this time?
So it's mostly on my head. About a month ago, the long-awaited Deadpool video game came out, and I was one of the first in line to play it. Being a fan of the comic book character, originally my plan was to do a review for the website. However, there's not much left for me to say that those enlightened cosplaying, skit-performing internet reviewers haven't already said. But then, being a fan, I ended up watching the Deadpool episode of Ultimate Spider-Man, and Mother of God, it was terrible.
A Kung Fu Fiesta! Arriba-san!
Even worse, in light of these two latest Deadpool incarnations, I am, at this point, terrified of the possibility of a Hollywood studio making a Deadpool movie.
Okay, but I haven't actually played the Deadpool game. I think...
Don't.
Oh, okay.
You know what? Just take the $50 and you put it in a paper bag, shit in it, light it on fire on your neighbor's doorstep, and let him stomp it out. I mean, it's the exact same type of humor, and it'd probably be twice as enjoyable.
Is it seriously that bad? Is it literally just...
It is.
Cinemax watched the Let's Play for sure, and he definitely didn't care for the humor. There are some redeeming points in it, though, but for the most part, the combat system is so fucking, like...
OS Gen? Obsolete?
Trite.
I tried.
I did see the final boss. I was wondering what the fuck they were thinking
You
of.
called it a boss?
Well, yeah, exactly. It felt more like, I don't know, a level from Crash of the Titans as opposed to an actual, fully fleshed out game.
The thing that really pissed me off was just the humor in the game, and I use humor in quotes, because while there are a couple of legitimately fun segments, like, flying around in the Sentinel boot, shooting shit up and blowing up half of Genosha, that was awesome. But
these segments are too few and far in between.
Far in between, yes. I mean, instead we got padding with Deadpool in that little rocket car, squeaky, 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 squeaky. And then, of course, there's the annoying cable taco.
Because, hey kids, that's not dated at all.
And then BMA's favorite is when Deadpool's on the toilet taking a shit.
Oh, yes.
Oh, boy, that sure is funny and timely.
Never mind time with the fact that they play it absolutely straight. There's no, joke where the toilet gets clogged up, so he has to, I don't know, do something funny, like slice it with a katana or something you would expect Deadpool.
Yeah, but that would just be, oh, look, I'm Deadpool, I'm a bit crazy. Ooh. I mean, that's one of the reasons I never got into, the sort of most talked about Deadpool. Like, it was sort of one of those things where you heard about it and you go, oh, that seems fun, and then you'd actually read it and you go, oh, that's actually kind of not as good as the cover. The covers are always funnier than the goddamn, stories.
XX, baby. See, Deadpool's strong side has always been observational comedy. While Deadpool does have a plethora of intrinsic character traits that make his character stand out from the rest, in many ways, Deadpool is also a projection of sorts of the reader himself. I mean, just imagine if you or any other typical comic book nerd got transported into this absurd, bombastic comic book universe, and then told that, oh, by the way, you can die. Tell me, would you try to play it straight and try to be this noble hero, or would you just try to have fun?
Exactly.
I mean, you're in this absurd comic book universe. You can't die. You know all these heroes. You know what's going on in the context of the real world. So, would you not try to, say, pick on Mysterio's poor fashion choice, or call Kraven the Hunter an animal fucker?
Absolutely.
Deadpool episode 11 does exactly that.
That's the brilliance of Deadpool, this idea that it's a way for Marvel to make fun of the Marvel Universe. I mean, think about it, Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham. They love doing this, tongue-in-cheek, self-parodying stuff. And Deadpool is easily the best version they've done of it so far.
The best, because it takes place in the same universe as the rest of all the serious stuff. It's an alternative universe where all the Marvel characters are animals. It's the actual 616 universe where stuff like Siege or Age of Ultron is happening, or Fear itself, and whilst all the characters are fighting the Juggernaut, the Hulk, you got this mini-story featuring Deadpool where he's trying to basically make a quick buck on the fact that all these hammers are falling from the sky, and of course it backfires and hilarity ensues.
In many ways, I think that's the brilliance of Christopher Hastings. I'm not a huge fan of Daniel Way's take on Deadpool. And I think a lot of the other writers tend to do this thing of crazy humor. Look at me, look at me, look at me. What I really like about Chris Hastings Yeah, exactly. The thing about Chris Hastings is that Chris Hastings, when he was a teenager at art school, was inspired by Deadpool to create Dr. McNinja. Dr. McNinja was originally just sort of an idea based on doing something akin to Deadpool, but without any limits. What's great is that he has spent the last, I think it's 10 years or something, training up to become a writer for Deadpool, making a series that in many ways is a little bit superior to the sort of humor style of Deadpool. And then he goes into Marvel and they say, well, now you don't have all this freedom, you're limited to the Marvel Universe. But because he's trained himself without all the limitations, he knows how to rein it back and still make it work. And it's just, I love Fear Itself, Deadpool. It's absolutely hilarious from beginning to end.
I'm sorry, but when you say that Chris Hastings trained to write Deadpool, why am I envisioning him making a pilgrimage to the Himalayas and, like, studying with Shaolin monks?
Chimichanga style!
I mean, you saw the panel I showed you guys about, you know, the latest issue they let him write when he teams up with Hawkeye. Yeah, basically the idea is that he's created trick arrows, which at first glance they are literally just toy Hulk smash gloves, which when you punch them together they make sounds like Hulk smash. And he fires them at the bad guy, and it makes the sound, and the bad guys are all like, "Oh, that didn't do anything," and then they explode, and Deadpool's like, "Surprise, motherfucker!"
It's like when Joe Kelly did Deadpool number 11, where Deadpool goes back in time to the first episode of Spider-Man. He's going around this entire, like, old 1960s, 1970s Spider-Man universe and just picking on it. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious. Harry Osborn shows up, and he's the only character in Marvel history who's ever said, "What the fuck is up with that hair?" Then all of a sudden the dad walks in, he's like, "Jesus Christ, there's two of them with that hair!" And he starts calling them cornrows and all kinds of shit. And then, you know, like Max alluded earlier, he calls Kraven an animal fucker.
And let's not forget about his comments about just how ditzy Mary Jane is.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, to be fair, it was Blind L, but still, she's posing as Aunt May, she's at Anna Watson's house, and, you know, they're showing her around. All of a sudden, Mary Jane turns on the music and starts dancing around, and so Blind L, disgruntled as all hell, says, like, "Poor dear, so young and she's already on crack." Or just how about all the innuendos that Deadpool makes because of how much of a cocktease Gwen Stacy is?
Oh, absolutely.
And when you're reading the original Spider-Man comics, you sort of like take it with a grain of salt. You know, it was a different era, etc. But when you put Deadpool in there, you just realize, oh my god, he's so right. What's wrong with these people?
It's because Deadpool doesn't have the inhibitions that the rest of the universe has. I mean, he's totally just a complete id. He says whatever he thinks, he does whatever he thinks, and that's the beauty of the character.
And I mean, it's interesting though, because one of the other reasons that Deadpool works so well is that yes, he is absolutely balls to the wall crazy and he does all this amazing stuff, but the writers aren't occasionally afraid to prove that actually Deadpool does have something of a conscience.
Yes,
and I think that's why he works. Because, you know, even though he's making fun of the Marvel Universe, and it's completely valid, he never goes as far as to sort of, you know, make you think, why am I reading this? Or I shouldn't read anything other than Deadpool. He knows that he needs the rest of the Marvel Universe in order for those jokes to exist. You know, if it wasn't around, there would be nothing for him to do.
One of the great things about Deadpool is that, depending on which writer is writing him, Joe Kelly, for instance, he wrote him as not only just complete id, but he's also not just an anti-hero, but he's a tragic figure who wants to be a hero, but just can't.
Some girl has a cat stuck in the tree, and, you know, Superman would just fly up and save the cat. Deadpool's idea is to set the tree on fire, so the cat falls down, breaks its legs, and at the end I'm pretty sure he'll still demand the money from the little girl.
Brilliant.
Deadpool's throwing rocks at the cat trying to knock it out of the tree.
I mean, here's the reason why both the Deadpool game and the version of the Deadpool that made an appearance in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon didn't work, is because Deadpool, like any good comedic character, needs a straight man. More often than not, said straight man is the entire Marvel Universe, but here's the thing.
Or Bob.
Yes, or Bob, the Hydra agent. In the Deadpool game, albeit there are cameos from other Marvel heroes, for the majority of the gameplay, we spend time solely with Deadpool, and we get to hear the same 12 or 13 pre-recorded clips over and over again, and more importantly, there is no one to sort of swap him across the face and say, you know, enough of these shenanigans. There's only one scene where Deadpool starts fantasizing about Rogue and Psylocke, and then Wolverine shows up in his fantasy and it's like, oh, Wolverine, you're here, and then he stops him out of it. But for the majority of the game, it's just, oh, hey, I'm wacky, and you can tell if what you're seeing is happening inside my head or not. And And the same thing with Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man, I mean, the character is already a walking obnoxious chipmunk. And then there's Deadpool, who is like the same kind of character, only cranked up to 11. And it's just, my ears started bleeding.
Arriba-san! Arriba-san! Arriba-san!
It was abysmal. The fact that they could take the fight between Deadpool and the Taskmaster, where Taskmaster has the power to like instantly be able to adapt to your fighting style or learn it, and he's fighting Deadpool and Deadpool can't win, and all of a sudden Deadpool just goes Deadpool and starts doing like the Macarena and stuff, and dancing, and Taskmaster can't keep up and he beats the shit out of Taskmaster. Now they tried the exact same thing in Ultimate Spider-Man, which I have to point out had a lot of creative input by Joe Kelly, but it didn't fucking work. It wasn't funny, it was annoying, it just ruined the entire moment from the comic.
I think the biggest problem there is probably not just the writing, also the direction. It's just really disappointing that the people who made the game just decided to go in such a wacky direction. And again, it's the exact same problem with Ultimate Spider-Man, which is why Deadpool was never going to work in that environment.
Series.
Exactly, because what's the point of having Deadpool in that series when you've already got Spider-Man attempting to do the exact same thing?
Or rather, what's the point of putting Deadpool in a children's cartoon where he can't kill anyone, where he can't blow anyone up, where he can't cuss?
According to the cartoon, he unalives them.
I'm sorry, I'm just gonna go throw up, okay?
Yeah. More importantly, why put him in a series where you can't actually benefit from marketing him? Because the minute a kid picks up, one of his comics or something,
He'll be confused. Precisely.
Have you guys seen Hulk vs. Wolverine with the Deadpool cameos? Now that is fucking Deadpool. I absolutely love Deadpool in there. He contributes to the story. He's kind of like just a little bit of the comic relief though, but he's also, menacing, and he doesn't really get wacky. I mean, about the closest thing he does is like Wolverine cuts his gun in half and he's like,
"Oh, that was my favorite gun."
And let's not forget about the ending where he's like, "Oh my god, I'm alive!" Gets stomped like a Hulk.
Deadpool's jumping at Wolverine, and Wolverine cuts his arm off.
Wow. Look at that. Could you give me a hand? I'm kidding. Alright. I'll go get it.
I mean, it's just a pathetically failed joke that's still funny.
So, while we're still...
the movie, yes.
Yeah. What would be your ideal, I suppose, Deadpool film? Like, what elements of Deadpool lore would you include, or what kind of story would you like to see on the big screen?
See, what I would do is I would go back to the start with the Weapon X stuff. They're on these missions where they're killing people, but Deadpool actually doesn't understand that what they're doing is incredibly
Heinous.
And so what happens is Deadpool's mission at the beginning of the film, because he remembers this, is to meet with Wolverine again and become part of the X-Men, because he wants to, just like old times, and so he goes on this epic quest to rejoin the X-Men. And then of course you have the crisis of when he does visit the X-Men, they actually reject him completely because they think that he's a monster. This of course would lead Deadpool to become incredibly bitter and try to come up with some convoluted way of trying to defeat the X-Men, and by the end of it he would be defeated. So instead of having a villain for Deadpool to face off against, Deadpool himself would become the villain. And then I think if you were to do sequels after that, you would definitely go into the Avengers stuff and the Spider-Man stuff. But in my personal opinion, I'd started out where it all started off to begin with, and that's with his adoration of the X-Men.
Well, I think what Marvel should do with Deadpool is he needs to have some straight men to play against his humor. And I think that, like Max and I have kind of discussed, is if Hawkeye and Black Widow, two cameo characters who haven't really been fleshed out in any other previous movies, were in a Deadpool movie as the two straight characters, then I think it would work out really great, because they're all assassins, and so then you'd have S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Black Ops team and the Merc with the Mouth all going after the same villain, target, or goal, and action and comedy would ensue. And the characters would then be fleshed out by actions versus exposition. Hawkeye and Black Widow have no intention of bringing him on board S.H.I.E.L.D. It is just a freak occurrence.
Yes. Or maybe it is a freak occurrence, but for whatever reason, Deadpool's dream was to be a S.H.I.E.L.D. operative, so he ends up in the same room as Nick Fury, and
Samuel Jackson, yes!
And he starts breaking the fourth wall and making references to Pulp Fiction, or something more obscure, or like Black Snake Moan, or...
like, I don't know, it'd be funny if like there was like a type of sword or energy weapon, and he's like, ooh, does it come in purple?
Yeah.
Precisely, keep it subdued.
I know. I mean, it can't be like, he looks into the camera and says, "I'm wacky." It's gotta be just, these off the cuff comments that are just, the audience kind of hears it and they kind of make the connection, but everyone else in the movie's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Alright.
Actually, wasn't there a joke that Deadpool made about Flash's legs?
I don't know.
God, I wish I could remember because my friend told it to me the other day, and that would have been a hysterical closer. Because I don't know if you guys know, but Flash lost his legs in Afghanistan.
Really?
Yeah.
The Flash isn't like DC's Flash?
No, Flash Thompson from the
Oh.
Spider-Man mythos.
I'm picturing the Flash, DC's the Flash, without legs. Wouldn't it be hilarious if Flash did lose his legs and the JLA is like, well, you can't be in the JLA anymore, and he sues him for discrimination?
Hey there, Cinemax here. Now, we sincerely hope that you had a blast listening to us jabber about Deadpool for more than 15 minutes, but here's the thing. Now we would like to hear what you have to say about the Deadpool video game, the version of the character that made an appearance in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, Wolverine Versus, and so on. Also, don't hesitate to share your favorite Deadpool moments, scenes, and hey, even if you don't find the character all that appealing, you're more than welcome to share your reasons for it in the comment section if you wish to. Oh, and if you're craving more Cheshire Cat Studios stuff, don't hesitate to click on some of these video icons. Finally, if you really dig what we're doing and would like to help promote the show, then all you really need to do is just post a link to it on any popular social media platforms or message boards. Any help we can get in spreading the word is highly appreciated. Cheers.